education as a school psychologist, and before that I was a special education teacher. Basically, according to the American Disabilities Act, an individual with a disability is entitled to test accommodations in order to alleviate the impact of their disability on a test situation. The most common learning disabilities: attention deficit disorder, anxiety, depression. So if an individual has one of those, attention deficit or learning disability, anxiety, and depression, they're entitled to test accommodations, is extended time. So if you have one of those problems, you're entitled to extended time just to alleviate the impact on the test. If you have one of those problems, you may have difficulty with attention, you may have difficulty with focusing, you may have difficulty with planning. Sometimes students say that they just draw a blank. So because of that, the federal law says you're entitled to have extended time on test so that that disability doesn't impact on your test. Understand that the report, the comprehension report that is generated from this evaluation is not only used to submit to the college boards for extended time, but it's also, with parents' permission, can be sent to Kweller Prep so that the tutors can use the information, because in the report we talk about the specific learning style. We talk about the child's strengths, their weaknesses, how they approach a learning situation. Do they use a random trial and error approach? Are they organized? And all that information can help the tutors modify the program that they're using with the children here. The report can also be used for test accommodations for high school and for college. It's my experience most individual accommodations for the SAT also require test accommodations for classroom tests. So we could submit the same report where your child can have extended placement,
right?
And also for tests in college. The reason that the report can be used...
How about graduate schools? How about law school, medical school, bar exam, MCAT, DAT level exam that your child takes, you can get extended time for. You just need to have the right resources to do this, all right?
The report, everything. So initially, if you have an evaluation done, the GTs, PSATs, high school, they would qualify for college. They would have test accommodations. They could have separate location in college, extended time.
Separate room, nice leather chairs, air-conditioned rooms, no extra fun necessary stress. Clear? Who likes that idea? That's the way the exam should. She's like, yeah.
In college, you can also have what's called a note taker. A lot of individuals with a disability have trouble listening to the lecture and taking notes.
And please take notes right now so you guys know what to do for your kids later, all right?
So
Good.
What happens for college, if your child has anxiety, if they have difficulty concentrating, the college actually hires another student to sit and take notes.
I got paid as a note taker. I made $7 an hour while I was in school. It was an anonymous student. You didn't know who the kid was.
Now let's talk about what this evaluation is. There's 3 parts to the evaluation. The first part is a history. So we examine when the child first started to have problems, whether it's a learning problem or anxiety or depression. Was it in elementary school, middle school? Did it first start in high school? So we talk about in detail when they first experienced the problem. Some children have a diagnosis that they've already seen someone for help. Some children don't. If someone does not have a diagnosis already, we need letters. I've used letters from the tutors here, from Ms. Kweller herself, on what they see, the way the child works, how they test situation. I also give checklists to students, so we have the perspective of the student, what their problems are, how they perceive it, and how the parent perceives the problem. 1, very detailed history. Part 2 is what's called an aptitude test. Most of you know that by the name of an IQ test. So we administer an IQ test, and in order to measure things like vocabulary, listening memory, visual memory, the way an individual approaches learning. And in addition to the testing, after we finish one section, we talk about how they approach that section. Were they able to concentrate? Were they able to focus? What type of approach did they use? Why did they use that approach? So that's as important as the answers. The third part of the evaluation is academic tests. We do reading comprehension. So an individual reads a story, I then ask questions. After we finish that section, we look at the way they approached it. Did they memorize the passage and then respond by just giving the answer from memory? Did they have to reread it after every comprehension question? Were they distracted? Will this help us to understand the specific learning style of the child and the impact of their disability on learning? We also give tests of mathematics. There are problems that are written out, and there are also problems that I read to the individual. The last part of the evaluation is they take a reading and vocabulary test under regular standard time and extended time in order to see if someone does benefit by the extended time. And all of these pieces are put together. The whole evaluation takes between 5 and 7 hours. And then I write a very detailed comprehensive report explaining when the problems start on learning, explaining how they would benefit from extended time. And as I said, it's submitted to College Board's SAT. It can be submitted for high school, for final exams, Regents exams, and when they attend college, I just have to write an addendum and it's submitted for